Real questions for the now is not the appropriate time to talk about the negative impact of colonialism. That's what those that sympathize and support the late Queen Elizabeth II say. Yet at the same time, they go on to say that she was an admirable civil servant and a public servant. Here's the question. What do you think of Queen Elizabeth II's influence? We know that the crown is the source of a legal authority in the United Kingdom, that she used soft power, that she grew the Commonwealth to 54 countries, and some of them were never part of the Commonwealth. We know that she used deeply subtle and perennial effective tactics, and that at the end of the day, she preserved her ancestral heritage very, very, very well. At the same time, we are told to ignore and forget survivors of British acts of rape, castration, starvation, forced labor, genocide and torture in colonial gulags in Kenya and elsewhere. Some are still alive today with the scars of that, and they never got an apology for that. India. The British destroyed all records of war or colonial crimes before being brought to justice. You can see in this image the Indian soldiers walking through the debris of a building in Amritsar, India during the unrest following the partition in August 1947. There is also the Great Famine, how Britain killed over 10 million people in Bengal in India. This is the throne she sat on, and for 70 years. And what did she say about this kind of history? You go to Google and type in British genocide, this is what you get. And these are the images of what they did. Even with the current queen who passed on. A leader from the British said, I do not admit, for instance, that a great wrong has been done to the Red Indians of America or the black people of Australia by the fact that a stronger race, a higher grade race, has come in, taken its place. Winston Churchill, who was supported through and through the war by the current queen. What do we think of Queen Elizabeth II's influence? It was deeply subtle and perennially effective. A lot of people think that the sun is set on the British Empire. They are wrong. Therefore, our thoughts are that anyone who believes that the sun is set on the British Empire is deceived. We shall prove that with Queen Elizabeth II's subtle influence, it is still morning for the British crown and the British Empire. She inherited from her ancestors a crumbling empire and preserved and grew it and gave it a future which is great. To her people, that is great. To her ancestors, that is good. This is a huge lesson to every melanin-dominant human being on the earth today, to preserve and improve your heritage. But how did she do it? She used what her ancestors bequeathed to her through the British East India Company. She also continued with their understanding and knowledge of who they were. You can see this for yourself. The emblem of St. Michael, the medal, features an Archangel Michael with his foot on the neck of Saturn, who the British Empire viewed as melanin-dominant humans, or anyone who does not look like them. She made sure that the colonial borders will remain intact. Our own leaders helped her to do that. After participating in slavery, they partitioned the whole world. Queen Elizabeth II, the late, never denounced these borders. They created these borders in Africa for their own benefit and their part of. And today we have got people in Africa that call other Africans in the territories they were given by the British as foreigners. They also created the Middle East. And in the Middle East, they put their own people as monarchs and the rulers. The white Arabs that are ruling in all those areas are of European ancestry via Turkey. These divisive tactics continue in the diaspora, where people in other parts, they say they are not Africans, they are not melanin dominant, they are something else. The British royal family, including the Queen and other elites and aristocrats in 1727, founded a company, the British East India Company, which was headed by the Queen, another company, the Committee of 300, to continue to rule and subjugate the whole world. The roots of the East India Company, chartered by Queen Elizabeth I on December 31, 1600, was supposedly dissolved in 1873, but a few new organizations sprouted, and they were headed by Queen Elizabeth II the Late, to continue influencing the affairs of the whole world. You read the book by Coleman, The Committee of 300, that governs the world via 3 city-state empires, in which the cities pay no taxes and obey their own laws. City of London Corporation, Financial Power Center, established in 106 AD. District of Columbia, Military Power Center, established in 1871. The Vatican, religious and spiritual matters, and other sovereign issues. So, what do we think of the late Queen Elizabeth II's influence? It was used to preserve a heritage by rebranding colonialism for the colonizer. This is what she said in 1947 when she was 21 years old in South Africa. I declare before you all that my whole life, whether long or short, shall be devoted to your service and the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong, in classes. Some are higher, some are lower, some are servants, some are shepherds in the paddocks. Yes, indeed, she kept her word. It was so subtle, so smart, that as she sat on the throne for 70 years, through her actions, she kept the British realm alive, and with the vigorous public relations, hoodwinked and continued to condition the oppressed to fall in love with her, to obey her, and to love her authority. And we find that this is very, very, very amazing. She was very deeply subtle and perennially effective. On her passing on, even the colonized mourned. This is how she did it. When she granted Ghana independence, she captured it immediately, as shown here. All you need is to control and capture the leader of billions, and you control the billions. Even if they were brutalized by the British and under her influence, which was almost magical, they forgive, forget, or don't even consider it. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo said that she was a cherished and revered monarch of the British people, the longest serving in their history, who sorely missed. We are saddened by her departure. He goes on to say, may God give her rest in his bosom until the last day of the resurrection, when we meet again. Amen. What we think of Queen Elizabeth II's influence is that there is proof that it was deeply subtle and perennially effective. 2 days ago, the Daily Express, concerning Queen Elizabeth's passing on, said there was shock and disbelief in Ghana by the masses. And they say our favorite aunt has passed on. When Nelson Mandela was released from prison and given the presidency of South Africa, you can see that the body language tells it all. From the first country, 1957, Ghana, to the last one, 1994, her influence is very, very clear. It was deeply subtle and perennial. Although the Kenya Mau Mau freedom fighters suffered horrific abuses under the colonial regime for taking part in one of the British Empire's bloodiest insurgencies between 1952, when she became the Queen, and 1960, Kenya has maintained strong ties with its former rulers, to the point where President Kenyatta declared 3 days of national mourning from Friday to Monday following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. And that flags were to fly at half-mast. What we think of Queen Elizabeth II's influence is that it was subtle, it is still there, it will be there forever. Queen Elizabeth II's death has resurfaced arguments of British colonialism in Africa. Pictured here is Queen Elizabeth II inspecting her newly renamed Queen's Own Nigerian Regiment, Royal West Africa Frontier Force, at Kaduna Airport in Nigeria during her Commonwealth. President Buhari said, the story of modern Nigeria will never be complete without a story of Queen Elizabeth II, a towering global personality and an outstanding leader. She dedicated her life to making her nation, the Commonwealth, and the entire world a better place. She had charmed this lad. Adamu Gabatu said they wanted to build a university and rename it, or they have a university they are going to rename Queen Elizabeth University of Nigeria. This is her influence and her power. The Queen visited Nigeria many times, used the carrot and stick when Nigeria veered off extremely. And then you can see here with the former President Olusegun Obasanjo at the official opening of the Commonwealth Head of States in Abuja, in Nigeria. Even though General Buhari, the current president of Nigeria, said the Queen backed Nigeria during the Biafra War, he has praised her already. This is why scholars like Dr. Uju Anya said when she was born during and aftermath the genocide in Biafra, and that the British government headed it, facilitated it, and the monarchy, Queen Elizabeth II, knew about it. The Queen is seen here with General Gowon in Nigeria, who orchestrated the genocide of 3 million men, women, and children with the British weapons and starvation blockades in 1969-1970. You can already see that Yoweri Museveni, the longest ruling president in Uganda, and he's very excited. Ali Bongo Ondimba, he said on behalf of the people of Gabon, he vividly extends congratulations to His Majesty King Charles III. Then he goes on to say, he is a trusted friend of our country with whom I share a number of concerns such as the protection of the environment. He goes on to say, Queen Elizabeth II was a great friend of Africa, and Africa was affectionate towards her in return. Even Kaunda was very excited meeting the Queen and being given the president of Zambia. Here you can see the Queen in 1964 with leaders of the Commonwealth, influential subtle power and soft diplomacy. This is Milton Obote, the first president of Uganda, on her right, and Nyerere and many others. What we think of late Queen Elizabeth II's influence is very clear. That government were put under her leash and control. That they were captured through the leaders who were captured by her charm and her soft diplomacy. We can see and understand all this clearly from the images that we have posted and shared here. Even the former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, was awarded an honorary knighthood, Knight of the Bloodbath, in 1994 by the Queen. Today, the current president of Zimbabwe said, my deepest condolences to the royal family, the people of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth as they mourn the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. May she rest in peace. Hassan Kamuzu Banda, Mobutu Sese Seko, all were under her influence. Do you know that Queen Elizabeth II owned a carriage weighing more than 4 tons of gold, solid gold, stolen or taken or whatever from Africa centuries ago, and everything else is stolen from elsewhere. The crown essentially kept quiet and never protected the weak under its own rule in the colonial era and manipulated the new leaders in such a way they continued British rule. Africans suffered intolerable cruelty and demeaning treatment, just as during the colonial administration as well as after independence, with civil wars and all other oppressive policies. She was so subtle about it. But all you need to do is to ask, what do you think was Queen Elizabeth II's influence in the affairs of her former colonies and in the world in general? And the answer is very clear. What we think of the Queen the late Queen Elizabeth's second influence is that she used it to preserve a heritage very well. Our leaders and all of us have failed. We fell under her spell, and she maximized the subtle influence to sustain her heritage. Let us never forget that enslavement, colonialism, and rebranded colonialism, neo-colonialism, is still with us because of her influence. And that as long as you are asleep, this will continue. Professor Maya Jansoff wrote, "We should not romanticize her era. Queen helped obscure a bloody history of decolonization whose proportions and legacies have yet to be adequately acknowledged. It is time to stand with facts, not romance, to work smarter and harder for our true freedom." Join us this year on the 22nd, 23rd of this month as we celebrate our New Year 6257, in which we are going to transform our lives rapidly. This is Preacher Rabbi LM Tumizilu Hamaneja Topi saying, subscribe to our channel Hamid Hebrew Ethics, and till we meet again, thank you, Siabonga, Tatenta, Edupe, Enkos.